Hello ladies and gents, it's EZScape, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining wrong warps. A wrong warp is a glitch that allows you to enter an area that is different from the expected one. How majority of these wrong warps work is by changing the values in the game's memory that when the game tries to read the memory, it loads up what you stored instead of what the game developers intended to be stored. The first wrong warp we're going to be looking at is the wrong warp in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, also known as the Ganon Door. In order to explain this warp, we must first go over what values and memories we'll be changing. The first value in memory is called the base entrance index. This is the value that tells the game where to place Link whenever he makes an entrance. The second is called the cutscene entrance offset. This value loads up a cutscene and modifies where the base entrance index places you. Okay, now that you know these values, the next thing we have to know is how the entrance table works. Every entrance in the game has to have at least 4 different spots on the entrance table. There are 2 for when Link is a child, and one of them is for day and one of them is for night. And there's another when he's an adult, and again, one of them is for day and one of them is for night. If an area also has a cutscene, then there will be additional entrance to place Link after the cutscene is over. Alright, so now that we have a basis understanding of the values that we're going to be modifying and how the entrance table works, we can start talking about how we change the values in memory. Whenever you enter a scene, the game is going to check and see if the cutscene entrance offset and the base entrance index is set. If there aren't, which if there wasn't a cutscene planned then they wouldn't be, it's going to check and see if you're an adult and if it's night. If you're an adult, it will add 2 to the base entrance index, and if it's night, it will add 1, giving us the 4 possible entrances we spoke of. However, if the cutscene entrance offset and the base entrance index are set, the game is going to add 4 to the base entrance index, so it will skip over the normal records we just spoke about, and it's also going to add the cutscene number to it. So let's say we're at the Deku Tree Blue Warp. When we walk onto the Blue Warp, this is going to lock Link in place. After this, the game will store the value the game holds as the next entrance to the base entrance index value, which in this case will be 00EE, and it will also store the next cutscene number to FFF1. Now since the cutscene entrance offset and the base entrance index value is set, the game is going to add 4 to the base entrance index value, and then 1 because that's what the cutscene number is. The final entrance index value will be equal to 00F3, which will load scene 85 and place Link at position 0, which is right in front of the Deku Tree in the Kokiri Forest. This allows Link to play a different item as if it were the ocarina. By dumping a bottle in mid-air and putting it away by switching to a new item, Link will not be able to do the bottle dumping animation, so he'll do the ocarina animation by default. By doing this glitch when stepping on the Blue Warp, Link will be able to move freely, but the next cutscene number will still be set to 1 from the Blue Warp. By opening the door on the correct frame, you'll be setting the base entrance index value to 0252, but since you have a base entrance index value and a cutscene entrance offset set, the game will take the current entrance index value and add 4 to it, and then 1 because of the cutscene number the Blue Warp had set. This gives us the index value 0257, which loads up the tower collapse scene in Ganon's tower. Let's check this out in action before moving on to our next wrong warp. The next wrong warp we'll be discussing is a wrong warp in Paper Mario, also known as the Peach Warp. The Peach Warp allows you to skip almost all of Chapter 6 and all of Chapter 7. So then how do we do this glitch? By doing a lackluster clip, Mario will fall out of bounds and will eventually respawn above the lava, and will stop riding lackluster. After Mario respawns above the lava, by holding the down right on the stick, Mario will be able to fall into the loading zone, and you'll access the Chapter 5 ending sequence again, including the Peach cutscene for whichever chapter you're currently on. The reason why this glitch works is because the game never removes the ending sequence you're glitching into. It just puts a lava layer over it, preventing access. So when you glitch into these rooms that you're not supposed to have access to other than after defeating the Lava Piranha boss, the game runs the same sequence again, and depending on which chapter you're on, it will play the Peach cutscene for it, and you will progress to the next chapter. By doing this twice, you effectively skip through 2 chapters of the game. Here's the warp in action. The next game on my list is a game I talked about in my top 10 biggest skips, which is Banjo-Tooie. The wrong warp in this game sort of works like the one in Ocarina of Time, but it's much simpler than that. In Ocarina of Time, you're using the base entrance index value and the cutscene value together to get a whole new index number. And in a way, you do this by not playing a cutscene. This sort of works in Banjo-Tooie. After blowing up the rocks in the fuel depot, you'll go to Witchy World and hit a switch to open a gate. You can skip this cutscene by using a platform. Next, you'll want to save the game and reset it. Since the game never played the cutscene in the fuel depot because we skipped it with that platform, it's going to be played the next time you enter it, and then it will send you to the location of the last cutscene played. By playing the Hag 1 fight cutscene from the main menu, this will change that value to the Hag 1 cutscene, therefore changing the warp location. After reloading and ending the cutscene, you're going to be in the Hag 1 fight. Next, we'll be discussing the wrong warps in Super Mario Bros. 3. Once you make your way to World 7 on the first level, you'll be able to start this glitch. By touching an invisible note block, this makes the processor try to update memory outside of the normal tile data. What happens is the game accesses a stack, which overflows and executes RAM instructions. This starts at address 0081, which is right before the location of the player X value at 0090, and 5 enemy values at 0091 to 0095. To jump to the princess, we're going to need 3 X values to read 32, 225 or 227, and 143. Mario's X coordinate has to be anywhere from 232 to 240. So in order to do this, we need to get the right enemies in the right spots in the stack and at the right X coordinates. So right away you go in and a Piranha Plant spawns right into 0094, which isn't avoidable, but what you're able to do is you're able to climb up far enough for it to despawn. You need to bring the first Koopa with you and keep it in the 0095 slot. The question marks Koopa will go into the 0094 slot, and the flying Koopa will go into the 0093 slot. By grabbing the question marks Koopa and falling quickly, you can despawn the flying Koopa before the Piranha Plant spawns, which will put the plant in the 0093 spot as long as the rightmost piranha is killed on the way up. By throwing the 0095 shell between the middle pipes so it doesn't despawn, you can then put those shells in the right X spots and do the pipe glitch on the same frame, which will send you right to Princess Peach.
I got that
So we're gonna know in like 10 seconds if he got the setup?
You got in the red pipe really quickly though.
I did. And luckily the shell was on the ground.
Don't worry, everything is okay.
Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was going to be my very first video in my Speedrunning Explained series. So if you guys liked it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to see, more episodes of this. If you have a question about speedrunning that you want to get answered in one of these videos, make sure you leave it in the description and I'll try and research it and, answer it in another week's episode. Oh yeah, and thanks again guys. Have a beautiful life. Unless you're an ugly sack of shit.
I could be friends with you. I like your size. You could use an inch, maybe 2. Do you got friends? Cause if you got girls, I got dudes. Even got dudes, I got girls. But none of them girls is you. My sugar.